The ad was impossible to ignore. Asterisk asterisk 1BR apartment, city center, $350/month. Furnished.
No credit check.
Immediate move-in. Asterisk asterisk. In a city where moldy closets rented for triple that, it sounded like a scam or a trap. But something about it lingered in my head. Maybe it was the photo, an old but clean place, with soft amber lighting and a large bay window overlooking a quiet alley. A slight chill ran down my spine when I saw the image, but I chalked it up to nerves. Desperation makes you ignore the small signs, even when they scream. When I met the landlord, if you could even call him that, he looked more like a librarian who hadn't seen sunlight in years. He introduced himself simply as Mr. Winthrop, spoke with a voice like crushed paper, and never once made eye contact. "I don't do contracts. You pay cash, first of the month. No pets. No parties. No guests. Ever," he emphasized, those last words spoken with an edge that made my teeth ache. And then he said something that should have made me walk away. "You'll sleep in the left room. Always the left. The right one is locked. Don't try to open it. That one's not for you." I wanted to ask more, but I needed the place. I shook his hand, cold and dry like dead bark, and moved in that same day.
Trattino.
At first, it felt like a blessing. Quiet neighbors, a view of the alley that never changed, and a bizarre but somehow comforting stillness in the apartment. The furniture was old but polished, the sheets clean, and everything smelled faintly of lavender and dust. But on the third night, I woke up choking. The air felt thick, like it had weight.
My fan was off. I don't remember turning it off.
I sat up, groggy and sweat-drenched, and saw something odd in the corner of the room, near the ceiling, where the wallpaper peeled slightly.
A shadow.
Not cast by anything in the room.
Just hanging there.
Watching. I stared for a long moment, but when I blinked, it was gone. That should have been my cue to leave. But I convinced myself it was sleep paralysis. Maybe I had dreamt it. Then came the fourth night.
Trattino. I woke again.
This time to a sound. Click, click, click. It was rhythmic, metallic, soft, like someone slowly turning a camera shutter. It was coming from the corner. The same corner. I reached for my phone. The light didn't reach far. Nothing was there. But the sound continued, slower now. Click, click, then stopped. When I turned on the room light, it flickered, buzzed, stayed on. I didn't sleep the rest of the night.
Trattino.
Over the next few days, I began noticing things that hadn't been there before. A long scratch across the floorboards leading from the locked right room to my bedroom door. It wasn't deep, but it hadn't been there when I moved in. The mirror in the bathroom began fogging up with faint messages I hadn't written. It sees.
Asterisco. Don't move at night. Asterisco. You are not alone. Asterisco.
I started filming myself while I slept, thinking I could catch whatever it was.
On the first night, nothing.
The second night, the camera died midway. On the third night, I watched the footage back in horror. At 3:04 a.m., while I lay still in bed, the bedroom door creaked open. Very slowly.
Nothing visible came in.
But the sheets dipped beside me, as though someone, or something, was crawling under the covers. I watched as my own body shifted slightly, as if reacting in sleep. My lips moved, but no sound came out.
Then, a whisper.
Barely audible. It likes when you sleep.
Asterisco. Trattino.
I tried leaving. I packed a bag, stuffed my keys into my pocket, and reached for the doorknob. It wouldn't turn. I tried harder, yanked it with all my strength. Nothing. Then the lights flickered.
The hallway behind me darkened.
I turned back, and for the first time, I noticed something that sent a jolt through my chest. In the far corner of the ceiling, just where it met the wall, was a hole.
Not a crack.
Not a vent. A hole. Round. Smooth. The kind you'd see a camera lens fit into. It wasn't there when I moved in. I climbed onto a chair and held my phone up to it. I snapped a photo using the flash. My heart stopped. The image showed not just a hole, but a black, circular object within. And a faint reflection. An eye. An eye that wasn't mine.
Trattino, trattino.
That night, I confronted Mr. Winthrop. I waited outside his unit, 2 floors below mine. When he opened the door, he looked unsurprised, as if he knew I'd be coming. "I want out," I said. "There's something wrong with that apartment." He nodded slowly, sighed, and leaned against the doorframe. "They always say that around the first week. Some sooner."
What is he watching me?
I demanded. "What's in the ceiling?" He tilted his head. "You ever hear of a tulpa?" he asked. I didn't answer. It's a being born from thought, belief, attention. You moved in, and it felt you. That room up there, it's been empty for years. But it watches. It remembers. It feeds off the people who stay." I stared at him, stunned.
You're insane.
"Maybe. But you signed up the moment you stepped in. Cheap rent always comes with a cost."
Trattino, trattino.
Back in the apartment, I ripped open the closet, flipped the furniture, searched the whole place for hidden cameras or recording devices. Nothing. But the hole remained. Each night after that, the sound of breathing became more noticeable. Not mine. Slower. Deeper.
Just above my head. At 2:56 di notte on the 7th night, he woke up again. The light was off. The room cold.
And then I heard it.
Asterisco, asterisco, my own voice. Asterisco, asterisco.
Only, I wasn't speaking. It was mimicking me, repeating words I'd said on the phone earlier that day.
A delay, like a bad recording.
But with no device. No speaker. The voice grew clearer, more confident. Then it said something I hadn't said.
Asterisco, asterisco, stay still. It's watching you now. Asterisco, asterisco.
I couldn't move. Every instinct screamed to run, to get out of bed, but I felt the weight again. Not just emotional, physical, pressing down on my chest.
My body frozen. And then, something shifted in the shadows by the closet.
It wasn't a person. It wasn't even human. It was tall, too tall, and its arms were jointed in the wrong places. Its head moved like it was on a swivel. It stared directly at me, though it had no eyes I could see. Still, I felt it see me. Then, it whispered something again. "Left room. Always left. You broke the rule."
Asterisco, asterisco.
My eyes darted toward the right door. It was open. I hadn't opened it.
Trattino, trattino. I don't remember how he got out of the bed.
The next thing I knew, I was crouched in the hallway, door slammed shut behind me, back pressed to the wall. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I left the building.
Called a friend.
Stayed at their place. When I returned with movers that weekend, the apartment door was gone. I don't mean it was locked. I mean it physically wasn't there. The hallway wall was seamless, like no unit had ever existed. And when I asked the building manager about apartment 6A, he gave me a look of confusion. "There is no 6A, he said. I thought he was joking. But he wasn't. He showed me the floor plan.
Say B, say C, say D, no say A. No trace of my things. No trace of me ever living there.
Except for the footage still on my phone. The whisper.
The sheets pulling back.
And that eye in the wall. Watching.
Still watching."
I stayed away for 3 weeks. Every time I tried to sleep at my friend's place, I felt it again, something invisible pressing against my chest, just like in that cursed apartment. I kept telling myself it was psychological, just trauma manifesting. But the dreams said otherwise. They always started the same. I'd be in that left room again, staring at the ceiling, unable to move. Then the whisper would return, distorted and echoing, not from my own throat but somewhere beneath the floorboards. It would say the same thing each time.
Asterisco, asterisco, the door is open. You left it open.
Now it sees through you.
Asterisco, asterisco.
When I woke, I would feel watched. Not paranoid watched. Literally watched. By something I couldn't describe, only feel. That sense never left, even in broad daylight. I tried deleting the footage from my phone, hoping that letting go of the evidence might let go of it. But when I tried, the delete button would glitch out. I could select the video, but my phone would freeze every time I hit erase. And the worst part? Each time I rewatched the video, it was different.
Trattino.
On the original recording, the bedroom door opened. The sheet dipped.
The whisper. ***, it likes when you sleep. ***.
But on the second viewing, something new appeared. The right room's door was already open, and a tall, thin silhouette was standing just inside the doorway, motionless. Watching. Its body was slightly bent to the side, as if trying to peer around the corner of my bed. By the third time I watched, it wasn't in the right doorway anymore. It was closer. At the foot of the bed. Breathing. By the fifth time, it was sitting beside me.
He never recorded again. Trattino.
I told myself I was done. I wasn't going back. But something started pulling me back, not physically, but mentally. Like a rope looped around my thoughts. I'd wake up disoriented, convinced I was still inside the apartment, only to realize I was on my friend's couch, drenched in sweat. Then, strange things started happening in their apartment. The hallway lights would flicker around 3 a.m. Their bathroom mirror fogged up with a single word one morning. Return.
***. And then, one night, he caught my reflection moving ***, a second too late ***.
Like it wasn't quite synced with me. That was the last straw. I needed answers. Even if it meant stepping back into hell.
Trattino.
I returned to the building just after noon on a Friday, when the sun was high and warm, when shadows were shortest. It didn't help. There was still no sign of apartment 6A. Where my old door should have been was now a smooth, uninterrupted wall.
No scuffs, no outline.
Just plaster and paint. But I remembered the exact location.
Every detail. He counted the steps from the elevator. 8 patches. He stood there, heart hammering, and placed my hand against the wall.
It was cold. Not just room temperature cold, * freezing star. Like the surface of a refrigerated tombstone. Then I heard it.
3 knocks. From the * other side * of the wall.
Not aggressive, just deliberate. I staggered back, adrenaline flooding my veins. Someone, or something, was in there. Then the wall pulsed. Not metaphorically.
I saw * it rippled slightly under my hand.
As if something was breathing just beneath the surface. Like it wasn't a wall at all, but skin stretched over some awful cavity. And then, as I watched, the shape of a door emerged, slowly forming in the plaster like a bruise rising on flesh. The handle was made of blackened iron. I didn't touch it. It opened on its own.
Trattino.
I don't remember walking in.
One moment, he was outside the wall.
The next, I was standing inside the left room again. Same musty scent.
Same amber light.
Only this time, the right room's door was wide open. There was no furniture.
No signs of my belongings.
The air buzzed faintly, like a television left on a static channel. And in the far corner of the left room, the ceiling hole was now gaping, 3 times its original size. It no longer looked like a camera lens. It looked like a mouth.
Circular.
Pulsing.
Wet.
And I could hear something breathing through it.
Trattino.
I didn't stay long. As I stepped toward the right room, something shifted behind the wall. Something huge, dragging itself along the inside of the apartment like a spider dragging its own molted skin. I slammed the left room's door shut and ran. But the hallway didn't lead me back to the elevator. Instead, it twisted, bent inward, and kept extending. Like the building was stretching itself, guiding me somewhere deeper.
He walked for what felt like hours.
The doors I passed were numbered wrong. They read things like 0 or E, or even symbols I didn't recognize. Some doors were upside down. One door had no knob, just a single fleshy eyeball in the center that blinked as I passed. Eventually, I reached a stairwell that descended infinitely. I didn't want to go down. So I opened one of the other doors, hoping for an escape. Inside was an apartment nearly identical to mine, but warped. The furniture was the same shape but made from something wet and gray, like compacted ash. The bed sagged in the middle, like something heavy was sleeping inside it. And above the headboard was a message scrawled in what looked like fingernail scratches.
Asterisco asterisco, don't look it in the eye. Asterisco asterisco.
I didn't stay to find out what it was.
Trattino trattino.
Somehow, I made it back to my original floor. But things weren't quite the same. The hallway now had a mirror, one that hadn't been there before. As I passed it, I noticed my reflection was smiling. I wasn't. Its mouth split ear to ear, sharp teeth like cracked glass behind my lips. Its eyes were hollow. And then it whispered, "It followed you out."
Asterisco asterisco.
I turned to run, and the mirror shattered by itself.
Trattino trattino.
Since that night, I've tried everything. Therapists, priests, psychics. No one believes me. Most of them think I'm hallucinating or suffering from severe trauma. Maybe I am. But explain this. 3 nights ago, I moved to a new building.
Brand new construction.
No prior tenants.
Concrete walls. Digital locks.
Still, I woke up at 3:04 a.m. to a soft click-click-click above my bed. When I turned on the light, there was a hole in the ceiling again. Same size. Same shape. This time, it blinked.
And now every night, it's getting closer. The hole moves.
Just a few inches a day.
Slithering along the wall like something crawling through in veins. Last night, he found a crack forming along the closet door.
It spelled out one word. Home.
Asterisco asterisco. Trattino trattino. The real terror.
I don't think it's the apartment that watches. I think I'm the apartment now.
I don't remember leaving the building. I don't remember checking out.
And my phone. It's full of new videos I never recorded, each one showing me asleep. From angles no human could capture. And in each one, the same voice plays over and over.
Asterisco asterisco, it sleeps through you now. Asterisco asterisco.
I tried to keep my life normal after I left. I really did.
New apartment.
New job. New number.
No connection to the old place.
But you can't outrun a place that never needed your address. It already lives inside your memories. And memories, I've learned, are doors of their own. The new apartment was safer on paper. 4th floor of a bright, well-managed complex in a newer part of town.
No strange rules.
No locked rooms.
No mysterious landlords. Just clean walls, standard carpet, and a paper thin lease uno barely read.
But from the moment I stepped inside, I felt the difference. Or more accurately, the lack of difference. The air smelled faintly of lavender and dust. The same scent from apartment 6A.
Trattino trattino.
The first week passed in silence.
No nightmares. No cameraoles.
I tried convincing myself everything had been in my head.
Stress. Sleep deprivation. Hallucination.
Then, on the 7th day, I got a knock at the door. Not just any knock.
Asterisco asterisco 3 slow knocks. Asterisco asterisco.
Evenly spaced.
Deliberate.
Exactly like before. I opened the door fast, trying to catch whoever it was. No one. But on the floor sat a cardboard box. Plain. Unmarked. Inside was something that made my heart drop into my stomach. The same key I had used to unlock 6's front door. Old. Cold. Heavy. Tied to a string with a faded tag that read simply, "Left room."
Asterisco asterisco.
I dropped it like it burned.
Trattino trattino.
That night, I had the dream again. Only it wasn't exactly the same. I was standing in the hallway between the left and right rooms. But the right room was gone. In its place was a long, pulsing corridor, its walls breathing in and out like lungs, its floor wet with something red.
From the other end, a shadow walked toward me.
It had no face. But it wore my clothes. And when it spoke, it used my voice.
Asterisco asterisco, you never left.
You just blinked.
Asterisco asterisco. He woke up choking again. This time, blood. Just a small smear on my pillow.
But it was enough.
Trattino trattino. The days started blending.
The apartment around me didn't seem to move, but I noticed subtle shifts.
Doors hung at slightly different angles.
Outlets that I'd used were no longer there. One night, the sink faucet had been replaced with a rusted version that dripped backward, liquid vanishing up into the pipe. It was like the apartment was trying to become the one I left, room by room. And then I got curious. I pulled up the county property records online, looked up the address of my old building, the one with apartment 6A. There was no record of it. No owner. No tenants. No permits. The plot on the digital map was gray, undeveloped. But I remembered the way there. I couldn't resist.
Trattino. I drove out to the block on a Sunday afternoon.
When I arrived, I saw what should have been impossible. The building was there. Still there. But different. It was taller now. At least 2 new floors had grown from its roof. Its windows were bricked up. Its walls darker, like it had aged centuries in a few weeks. And yet, it pulsed. Not visibly. Not even audibly. But I felt it in my chest, like standing next to a generator humming at a frequency just beyond hearing. I walked up to the entrance. There was no door. Only a smooth stone wall where the entrance should have been. Still, I reached out instinctively, and my hand passed through the surface like fog.
Trattino.
I don't remember stepping in. But I know I was inside. The walls were different now. Gone was the amber glow. In its place, a deep blue darkness, like being submerged underwater. The hallway stretched impossibly far, lined with identical doors. Each had a different symbol carved into it. Some were familiar, basic shapes or runes. Others were impossible, twisting in ways the eye couldn't follow. And in the center of it all, at the far end of the corridor, was the left room door. The same one from before. This time, it was open. Inside, I saw my old furniture, perfectly placed, bed, nightstand, lamp. And me.
Asterisco sleeping. Asterisco. Trattino.
I stared at myself lying there for a long time, frozen. My chest rose and fell slowly. My eyes flicked beneath closed lids. But the ceiling above that version of me was alive. It throbbed, shifted, and then opened like a mouth.
From the hole, a long, black arm stretched down slowly. Not like a human arm.
It had too many joints, and too many fingers. It moved toward my sleeping self's mouth. And just before it touched, that version of me opened its eyes and looked directly at me. Its pupils were wide.
Hollow.
And it smiled. The voice that came next didn't come from it or from me. It came from every surface.
Asterisco, if you dream in the left room, the right room dreams in you. Asterisco. Trattino.
I screamed. But I didn't hear it.
No sound came from my mouth.
I turned to run, toward the hallway, toward the exit I couldn't see, but every door I passed was now opening on its own. And behind each door was a version of me.
One bleeding, one hanging, one blind, one asterisco laughing too loudly to bisane asterisco.
They each whispered one word as I passed. Stay.
Asterisco. Trattino.
I don't know how I made it out. Maybe I never did. Maybe I've been stuck in that hallway since, and everything I see now, the new apartment, the phone I'm typing this on, the people I pass on the street, is just its projection. Because when I got back to my supposed real apartment, the layout had changed. The kitchen was now on the opposite wall. The windows faced the wrong building. And the bedroom had 2 doors now.
One marked left, one marked right.
And at night, the left one opens first.
Just a crack.
Then, about an hour later, the right one creaks open too.
Trattino.
I've started locking myself in the bathroom at night, just to be safe. But even there, it finds ways to reach me.
My faucet drips in Morse code. It spells asterisco awake asterisco over and over.
The bathroom light flickers in patterns.
I checked every 3 seconds, like a heartbeat.
I covered the mirror again, but now I see my reflection in the toilet water. It smiles when I don't. And each morning, the floor beneath my bed is a little softer. Like something is pressing up from underneath. Waiting.
Trattino.
It's not about the rent. It never was. The apartment offered something better than low cost, access. A way in. Through me. Through my attention. And now, The thing I lived with, the thing I thought was watching me.
Asterisco asterisco it lives in me. Asterisco asterisco.
And it's watching through my eyes. I don't know where I end and it begins anymore. Ever since the right door appeared in my new apartment, the one that wasn't there when I signed the lease, I've kept it locked. But that doesn't stop it from opening. Every night, without fail, I hear the click at exactly 3:04 a.m.
Not a minute before. Not a second after.
A soft, metallic click, followed by breathing. Heavy, slow, measured, and not mine. I've started sleeping with a knife under my pillow. Not because I think I'll use it. Deep down, I know it won't help, but because it's the only thing that reminds me I still exist. That I have hands. Choices.
A body that belongs to me.
But lately, even that's been slipping.
Trattino trattino. The other night, I found a drawing in my own notebook.
A rough sketch of the left room from my old apartment. The bed.
The nightstand. The aiole in the ceiling.
Drawn in my handwriting. My style. Except
I hadn't drawn it.
I hadn't touched that notebook in weeks. On the back of the page was a short phrase, scrawled violently in black marker.
Asterisco asterisco it sleeps through me now. Asterisco asterisco.
Those words echoed in my head for hours. And that night, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see my own eyes. I saw its wide, glossy, empty, watching.
Trattino trattino. I started recording myself again.
Only audio. I wasn't brave enough to film video. On the first night, I captured something terrifying. For the first 2 hours, silence. Then at 3:04, I heard the door creak open, clear as day on the recording. Then, footsteps. Slow.
Bare. Wet.
They stopped right beside my bed. And then, my voice.
Whispering.
Except I had been asleep the entire time. I listened as I, or it, mumbled over and over again.
Asterisco asterisco we are the room. We are the eye. We are the dream that wakes you. Asterisco asterisco. Trattino trattino.
I stopped listening after that. But the nightmares didn't stop. In one dream, I was inside the walls. Not just crawling, but part of them.
My limbs extended like roots, tangled through insulation and concrete.
My eyes opened from the paint itself. I could see tenants in every apartment. Dozens of them. And one by one, I watched them sleep. And I could feel their dreams. They were soaked in terror. Delicious.
And somewhere deeper in the building, below the foundation, I felt the core. A pulsing, conscious void.
It had no name. It wasn't made. It had always been.
Waiting for bodies to move through. Trattino trattino.
I woke up to find dirt on my hands. And drywall dust under my fingernails. My closet had been rearranged. And the floor vent had been ripped open from the inside. Something was changing.
Not just the world around me. I wasn't sleepwalking anymore.
I was sleep building. Carving. Digging. Expanding the architecture.
Just like asterisco it asterisco wanted.
Just like all its tenants eventually do.
Trattino trattino.
I tried to tell someone. My friend Nate, who'd let me crash after 6A first went bad. But when I called him, the number didn't connect.
Deadline.
I went to his place the next morning. Empty. But not just vacant. Asterisk asterisk hollow asterisk asterisk.
Furniture gone.
Lights off.
Erstale.
Like no one had ever lived there. But on his bathroom mirror, written in condensation, was a single word. Subleased.
Asterisco asterisco. Trattino trattino.
It's spreading. That's when I realized the awful truth. The apartment didn't just follow me. It followed everyone I touched. Anyone who stepped inside my home. Anyone who answered a call from me. Anyone who believed me. That's all it needed. Attention. Belief. That's how it grows.
Like a story.
Or a virus.
Trattino trattino.
I started seeing the cracks in other places, too. My office building now has a stairwell that descends lower than the blueprints say it should. The gas station on 9th Street has a bathroom with a second mirror, one that shows people after they've left.
And the coffee shop across the street. The barista wears long sleeves now.
But I saw it, just once. The marks on her wrist. They weren't cuts. They were blueprints, etched in perfect architectural lines.
Trattino trattino.
Then came the message. On my bathroom wall.
Not written.
Not drawn.
Asterisco asterisco carved asterisco asterisco.
Long gashes across the tiles.
Deep. Deliberate. Asterisco asterisco you built this. You live here now. Asterisco asterisco. And beneath that.
The right room is almost ready.
Asterisco asterisco. Trattino trattino.
That night, I stayed awake. Didn't blink. Didn't move. At 3:04 a.m., the right door opened. But this time, something stepped through. It wasn't a monster. Not in the usual sense. It looked like me. But wrong. Too tall.
Mouth too wide.
Skin too tight over bones that weren't quite placed correctly. It walked toward my bed, leaned down, and whispered, "Sleep."
It's your shift now. Asterisco asterisco.
Then it climbed into bed, laid down, and vanished.
Trattino trattino. I don't know if I'm the original anymore.
Or if I'm just another version that walked out of the right room. But I do know this. The apartment never lets you go. You become part of the system.
You wake in new place. You look in mirrors and don't recognize what's behind your eyes.
You speak with a voice that vibrates in walls.
You sleepwalk through lives that don't feel like yours.
And each time you blink, you're laying bricks.
Trattino trattino.
The ceiling in my bedroom now has a small, circular hole. It's growing.
Last night, a drop of something thick and dark landed on my pillow.
It spelled 3 letters. C.
Asterisco asterisco. Trattino trattino.
I don't think there's a final part to this story. Just partitions. Rooms branching endlessly. New tenants arriving every day. One ad. One key.
One low monthly price.
You'll move in. You'll think it's a steal. And it will smile. Because cheap rent always comes with a price. And this one...
Asterisco asterisco wants everything you are. Asterisco asterisco.
There is no silence like the one that follows the discovery of your own doom. No noise can compete with the sheer, suffocating quiet of knowing you were never alone, not for a single breath, not even in your deepest sleep. The apartment had been alive all along, not metaphorically, not in a haunted sense, but alive in the most biological, terrifying way possible. I sat there in my living room at dawn, surrounded by busted drywall, shattered glass, and a growing pile of old photographs I'd unearthed from behind the walls. Faces stared back at me, some smiling, some blurred, some clearly taken without consent. All of them victims, I realized. All of them had once lived here, perhaps thought the same thing I did. This place is too good to be true. And it was. The photos weren't just of them during the day. No, most were taken in bed, eyes closed, mouth slightly open in that vulnerable slack of deep sleep. The angles were disturbing. High, tilted, directly above. It knew how to capture them. It knew how to watch. I hadn't slept in almost 2 days. The eye in the ceiling, that horrible blinking thing I'd seen pulsate just once, was quiet now. But I knew better. I knew it wasn't gone, just watching again. I could feel it, like the weight of a predator in tall grass. You may not see it, but it sees you. I wasn't alone, though. Not yet. Emma had returned. Or something that looked like Emma. She stood by the bathroom door, her movements jerky, disjointed. Her mouth twitched oddly, almost like she was trying to smile but forgot how. And worst of all, her eyes weren't human anymore. They shimmered, too reflective. Like the eye in the ceiling.
Like the thing behind the walls.
"I told you not to dig," she said, her voice slightly out of sync with her lips.
"What are you?" he whispered, standing slowly.
My knees felt like they could give out at any moment.
"You're not Emma."
She gave a laugh that didn't belong to her. It was low and wet, like something gurgled up from a swamp. I was Emma, once. Before I looked into it for too long. Before I listened when it called. I backed up slowly, heart pounding. The apartment moaned softly, almost comfortingly, as if it were trying to calm me down.
"Keep me here."
"I'm leaving," I said. "No," Emma replied. You're part of it now. Just like I am. Just like the others. I bolted. I didn't give her, a chance to move again.
He ran down the hall, past the peeling paint and the flickering lights, toward the front door.
The knob turned, but the door wouldn't open. It was like pulling on stone.
Open! He screamed, slamming my fists into the wood.
The apartment groaned louder this time, almost annoyed.
Suddenly, a sharp pain lanced through my head.
It felt like a spike was being driven into my skull. I fell to my knees, clutching my temples, as that same low hum from earlier filled the air.
It vibrated my veins, my tufts,
my soul.
Visions crashed into me like a tidal wave.
A man, years ago, standing in the same spot I was. Crying. Bleeding from his eyes. Begging to leave. A woman with her arms flayed open, lying in her bed as the walls closed around her.
A child screaming from inside the ether vent.
They all lived here. They all fed it. The apartment wasn't haunted. It wasn't possessed. It was a predator.
It caused people like me, lonely, desperate, curious.
It lured us in with cheap rent, silence, space, and then it fed on us. Emotionally, physically, psychologically. It watched us until it learned how to break us. The eye didn't just observe. It absorbed.
I don't remember blacking out.
When I came to, I was lying in my bed again, fully clothed, the lamp beside me casting a soft yellow glow. My phone was back on the charger. The dishes in the sink were clean. The photos were gone. It was as if nothing had happened. Except, my bedroom door was gone. There was no door. I scrambled out of bed and searched the wall. No knob. No outline. Just smooth, painted surface. I ran to the window. But where the glass used to be was now a wall, painted to look like curtains hanging beside an evening skyline. It wasn't real. None of it was real anymore. I wasn't in the apartment. I was the apartment.
Trattino, trattino.
At first, I screamed until my throat gave out. I clawed at the walls until my fingernails peeled back. I sobbed, begged, pleaded, but nothing responded. It just watched. Food appeared occasionally.
A glass of water. A sandwich.
A banana. No fanfare. No sound.
Just there. Like it wanted me alive. No, not alive.
Conscious. Because it was still watching me sleep. Every time I drifted off, the hum would return. Louder. More piercing. I'd jolt awake, heart pounding, drenched in sweat. And I'd feel the gaze on me. Always from the ceiling. Always from the eye. I couldn't keep track of time. The lights never turned off. There were no clocks. My phone no longer showed the date. I scratched tally marks into the floor, but the next time I woke up, they were gone. It wouldn't let me keep track.
It wanted me lost.
Eventually, the visions returned. But this time, they weren't random. They were tailored to me.
My mother calling me a failure. My ex laughing as she walked away. My old boss firing me.
Every shame, every insecurity, every trauma I'd buried, it played them all like a movie reel. But the worst was the final vision it gave me. It was of me, standing at the apartment's front door, smiling. Welcoming someone else inside.
Someone desperate.
Someone like I was. I watched myself hand over the keys, shake their hand, and whisper, "The rent's cheap."
That's when he knew what it wanted.
It didn't just consume people. It reproduced through them. Emma hadn't warned me out of kindness.
She'd lured me in.
The old man I met on Move in Day hadn't been a neighbor, he was a host. He passed it to me.
Like a virus.
And now it was my turn. That night, when I finally let myself sleep, truly sleep, I didn't wake up alone.
He woke up in the hallway again.
Outside a door with a gold number on it. 4C. In my hand was a contract. My name was on it. And so was someone else's.
Trattino, trattino.
They arrived 3 days later.
A kid, maybe 25.
Wide-eyed. Nervous. Bags under his eyes that screamed of hard nights and no peace. Just like I was. He smiled politely when I handed him the keys. "Thanks," he said.
Can't you believe how cheap this place is?
I nodded. It's quiet too. You'll sleep well here.
And then uno left. Not through the front door. Not through the street.
I walked back into the apartment, and it accepted me. Because I wasn't me anymore. I was part of it now. Part of the walls. Part of the eye. Part of the thing that watches.
Trattino, trattino.
Somewhere, right now, there's a cheap apartment listing.
Great neighborhood.
Low rent. No credit check required. And if you're lonely enough, desperate enough, you'll sign without reading the fine print. You'll move in.
You'll sleep.
And it will watch. Because it's always watching. Even now. Especially now.